Hey geeks, it's Thursday night. I hope you are doing well. You know what time it is? It is Geeky Guy Comics reads and reviews for week number 4. Now, there were loads and loads of comics that came out again this week. Actually, do you know what? There actually wasn't as many as last week, but it's probably going to be more than there is next week. So if you can stay with me for that and it makes sense, make sure you check in. So, as I said, yesterday I posted up the video of the top releases coming out. What I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to post a top 5 video for Marvel, the top 5 releases from Marvel that came out this week. I'm also going to do a top 5 DC that came out that were on my pull list that I really did enjoy. And I'm also going to do a top 5 indie as well. So I'm covering all markets. I'm covering Marvel, DC, indie, including like Boom Studios, Image Comics. Who else have we got out there? We've got Ablaze. I'm still waiting to read the kids comic that came out today. Unfortunately, I was unable to get to my local comic book shop, so I've been on Comixology. It hasn't come out yet. If you do know where it's going to be available to let me read, please post in the comments below and let me know what you think. Now, before we do this read and reviews, and let's get into it and all that, just to let you know that if you entered the competition for the Nebula Endgame Avengers pop giveaway that I was doing on Instagram, that closed at 12 p.m. this afternoon. I'm going to compile all the entries, make sure that you followed all the points that I put on my Instagram, and I will be doing the live winner announcement tomorrow on Instagram live around 9 o'clock. So make sure you're watching live to check in and see if you're the lucky winner of this. So, as I said, it was a great a great week for comics. One of the comics that I really did enjoy reading was Batman '87. I mean, we had Batman, check. We had Catwoman, check. It had the Riddler, the Penguin, Deathstroke. Seriously, I was hooked from the get-go. This arc, seriously, can't get any better. For me, it is insane. I mean, I'm saying it can't get any better, but if you think about all the characters that I've just mentioned, plus many more, I think the next issue is going to be insanely good. It's going to be so involved. It's going to be so much going on. I mean, obviously, this comic is all about Deathstroke's comeback, and he's compiled this team to take out a hit on what we know is now the Riddler. But it becomes apparent that it's all being controlled by Gotham's designer. And I think with the fact that the designer is someone who's controlling, who's got all the cards, who's controlling everything in Gotham City, Batman finds himself up against it. But what I really liked about this comic was that the fact that the designer was revealed at the end of the comic, and I was genuinely shocked and excited for how this is going to pan out in Batman 88. It's going to be incredible. I mean, when you throw in the fact that all of these villains and these superheroes are combined in Gotham City, is it just me, or would any other person like to live in Gotham City when all this is happening? I know for a fact I would. I mean, Detective Bullock's in it. You've got some great moments with him and Batman on the top of the GCPD. It's insanely good. The graphic, the artwork, the writing, everything just comes together in this comic. And for me, it was probably one of the Batman issues that I've really enjoyed since Tom King stopped on 85. So yeah, so that was Batman 87. Also from DC, we had Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen #2. Now for me, this was an awesome issue. It had action, it had interesting character components, it had amazing character interaction, and the character views throughout, and the fact that two of the baddest supervillains on the DC universe, the Apex Lex Predator, Apex Lex Luthor, and the Batman Who Laughs. Seriously, honestly, they are probably two of my favourite villains in the DC universe. Honestly, these two are superb. They battle, they just fight, they get on, and seriously, some of the action sequences in this comic just left me wanting more, and the fact that all the villains that are in the DC universe. Some of them pop up, and I tell you what, honestly, it was insane. I'm just going to mute my iPad here because I don't want no sounds coming through. But yeah, as I was saying, seriously, the comic just had it all. Action-packed, the interesting character components, the concepts of these two massive juggernauts of DC villains going head to head in what can only end in gigantic, epic proportions of monstrosity disaster is going to be absolutely insane. I think that for me, the story just flowed perfectly. I mean, I can't wait to see what happens in issue 3, and I'm sure with all these DC villains and with the action that was in this one, it can only pack more of a punch than this one did. It was insane. If it's not on your pull list, make sure you go out and buy it. Honestly, it was superb. Now, coming in from DC Black Label, Hill House Comics, we've got my favourite. I've been a fan of Joe Hill from the start of this issue, this comic arc, Basket Full of Heads. So I didn't really know much about Joe Hill before I read Basket Full of Heads, and I'll tell you what, I've become a massive fan of Joe Hill. I think his writing style, the artwork, the interpretations of how realistic these characters can become in your mind's eye is insane. And I tell you what, I've become a massive fan of Joe Hill, and it's all because of Basket Full of Heads. Honestly, it's not really a comic I would have read, and people say never judge a book by its cover, but you know, when I see this, I was like, there's similarities between that and the horror story It, which is obviously written by his dad. It was an amazing film, but the fact that on the first cover of A Basket Full of Heads, you've got a person in a yellow trench holding an axe in a basket. The yellow trench is obviously significant to the little boy that goes missing. It's significant to the little boy that goes missing in It, and it was just, I loved it, absolutely loved it. It got me gripped, it got me in, and I read the comic and I was just like, I cannot wait to see how this comic goes out. And I tell you what, this issue was exactly the same. It didn't disappoint at all. I can honestly say that this is one of the comics that I genuinely get excited about being released. Like when I find out it's coming out, I'm like, right, this is definitely going to be on my pull list. This is going to be number one that I'm going to read this week. I'm going to be at the front of the queue at a place in space to get this comic. It was insane. And I tell you what, this story has gone from strength to strength to strength in every single issue. And the fact that near enough 2 out of the 4 issues have ended on a cliffhanger, it just makes me want to read the story more. It just makes me think, oh my God, I need to know what's happening. And I'm not being funny, but I cannot be the only person that's reading this comic and is gutted that it's only 6 parts. We're on number 4, that means we've got only 2 issues left. And I, for one, can't wait to find out what happens to June. Now, is she a psychopath that is actually enjoying killing people, cutting off their heads, putting them into baskets, or is she actually just doing it to get by, to find out where her boyfriend is? I personally think she's starting to become a bit demented, a bit psychotic, and is actually enjoying killing the people. But obviously there's a side to her that is doing it because she's got to find her boyfriend. But then on the other side of it, I actually think she's enjoying it, and I would not be surprised if this 6-part comic book ended with her becoming a serial killer that everyone in the town where she's from is afraid of her. Honestly, Joe Hill, I take my hat off to you, sir. If I was wearing a hat, I would be taking it off you now, but I will give you a virtual high five because this comic, every single issue, I have given a 5 geeks out of 5, and this is no different whatsoever. This comic, 5 geeks out of 5, Basket Full of Heads, number 4. Make sure you read it, people. Make sure you read it. If you're not into indie comics, this can turn your head. This will flip you, and this will make you interested in it. Please do comment below and let me know what you think if you've read it. Now, also, sticking on the indie vibe, we've got Family Tree number 3. All I can say for this is, I am Groot. If you watch the Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll understand what I'm saying, and it leads me on to the next review that I'm going to do after this. But I am Groot. If you've been reading this, you will understand that In issue 1, a little girl started getting an itch on her back, and her mum lifted up her top and she found out she was growing branches from her back. In issue number 2, it follows the family, the mum, the son, the daughter. They're trying to go to the doctors to find out what's happening with the girl that's called Meg. It ends with the granddad pulling up, killing these people that are trying to take away Meg. And then it goes into another story, so we learn about the granddad. In number 3, we learn about that Meg's father also had the similar symptoms and also became a tree, and we know that the disease that she's got transcends into her becoming a tree. So number 3 ended, it was all about finding out who the grandpa was, learning about the illness, learning about how Meg can cope with it, how the mother's coping with it, how the brother's coping with it, and how they can actually deal with fixing the problem. Number 4, this time around, we actually get to see Meg's dad, and we get to see him in human form. We obviously know from the previous issues that he did become a tree, and unfortunately he didn't survive. But this time around, we get to see Meg's father, and we understand that she is going in the same path. But for me, though, this issue lacked the action of the previous issues. This was more like a fact-finding, understanding issue of what happens when you become the tree, when you become Groot. I'm gonna go with Groot. I like the fact that she's gonna become Groot. She could be baby Groot. Her dad could be I am Groot. So let's go with that. This comic is about Groot. Copyright, I'm totally changing that. This comic isn't about Groot. This comic is about a girl who becomes a tree, but there's similarities there. So, as I said, we finally get to meet Meg's dad, and he seems to be living in like a parallel in between universe, dead or alive type of state where he is alive, she visits him through daydreaming in the car, and so she's not sure if she's dreaming or not, but he's there, he cuddles her, he holds her, he invites her, and says that when she does finally become the tree, become what she's meant to become, they will live happy ever after in this. It looks like it's the inside of a tree, and we end up finding out that it actually is an inside of a tree. When Meg zones out again, she visits her dad and she says, Dad, as much as I'd like to live here and it is very welcoming, I don't think I could leave Mum because she's all that I've got. And her dad kind of says to her, no, actually, this is all you've got now. When you become what you're meant to become, what you was born to become, there is more than inside of this tree. And he shows her, and it looks like they're looking out of the tree into an open world. Where this open world is, we don't know, but it becomes apparent that when you become a tree, you end up living in the tree, which could be the whole universe of where the tree people are bred and where they live and how they get on and everything. But it'd be interesting to find out where that parallel universe is. Is it in the modern day world, or is it somewhere else, somewhere dark off, far off universe where no one knows and you have to die to become the tree to live in the tree? It's very confusing, but excuse the pun, this story could branch out in many directions, and I'm interested to find out how it ends. One thing that is a pet peeve of this comic of mine is that for me the artwork is so dark and so gritty and so intricate that I find myself squinting quite a bit when I was reading it, and I was like, I'm due to that, I found myself losing a bit of interest, but I will be continuing the story. I will read it. I will read the issues until the comics ended. But I think what I will be doing it with my Geeky Guy specs on, and hopefully that helps. So yeah, it's a good comic. I gave this one a 3 geeks out of 3. It's following on the story. It's following on the path of we're getting to understand why these things are happening. We're introduced to an interesting character who really does seem to want to get back and find out, and she seems to be like the killer of the trees. It's a very interesting story. If you've been reading it already, stick with it. Please do stick with it. It's a great comic, and it's going to be interesting to find out. If you haven't started yet, why not get involved? Let me know what you think on the comments section below. Let me know. Now, as I mentioned, I Am Groot. That followed in directly to a really fun comic that I read this week, Guardians of the Galaxy #1. So obviously we had Donny Gates's Guardians of the Galaxy that ended in 2019, and we have been lucky, and I feel very privileged to be reading an Al Ewing comic, Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Now, if you're a fan of the Immortal Hulk that has been doing fantastically well, that comic can do absolutely no wrong. It's breaking records left, right, and centre. It is all down to Al Ewing. Now, he is in control of this comic, and he creates enough excitement and enough enjoyment that if you haven't read Guardian of the Galaxies before, this is going to entice you, and it's enticing enough to get you involved. You don't have to read any previous issues. This one is for new readers, for old readers. Everyone can jump on board on this comic, and I tell you what, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic entrance to a #1 Guardians of the Galaxy comic if you haven't read it before. And it's got there's so many witty one-liners for the character Rocket. Now, obviously, my two favourite characters for witty one-liners and literally the quick puns, it's got to be Rocket Raccoon and it's got to be Deadpool. These two characters are so similar that if Rocket wasn't in Guardians of the Galaxy, it wouldn't flow as much as I think it does. He is a great character, and he just brings so much excitement and so much humour to these comics that I feel would be missing if he wasn't part of Guardians of the Galaxy. So Rocket Raccoon, well done, sir. You are my favourite furry friend. And I'm actually going to give... There he is. Rocket Raccoon. Yep, there he is. One of my favourite feline, furball, fun-loving characters. And do you know what I really like? He's portrayed as he is in the movies through the comics that Al Ewing has written for this. It's insane. It's absolutely amazing. And I tell you why, there's a reason why Al Ewing headlines one of Marvel's all-time high-selling comics, The Immortal Hulk. It's because it's consistently great. What he's doing for that character is consistently improving with every step of the story. Every step of the story is succeeding the one previous. And I tell you what, if Guardians of the Galaxy #1 is anything to go by, this could be a fast-selling comic that will continue for years to come. Al Ewing, fantastic. It's been absolutely amazing reading these comics this week. I'm going to post the in-depth reviews that I will write up on Instagram, so make sure you check them out. Guys, as always, thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, do what you got to do. Tell your mum, your dad, your sister, your brother, your next door neighbour, the man on the corner that walks the dog. Let him know about Geeky Guy Comics. Let him know I'm on YouTube. Let him know I'm on Instagram. Let him know I'm a geeky guy that reads comics, that reviews comics, that does fantastic Funko Pop giveaways. Guys, get involved. Happy Thursday. It's Friday tomorrow. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Tomorrow we have got some fun video coming up. It's going to be an introduction to who is Geeky Guy Comics. I'm going to give a background into who I am, why I do it, what got me into it, and if you've got any questions that you'd like me to answer, ping them over on YouTube. You can comment on the section below. Ping them over to me on Instagram. Let me know. I'll answer your questions, and I will also be doing the live giveaway tomorrow. So good luck to all of you that entered. I wish you all a happy weekend, and I will speak to you soon.